As of today, since 2018, 100,000 migrants have crossed the Channel. 755 people crossed the English Channel on Thursday in 14 boats. And since records began on January the 1st, 2018, 100,715 people have arrived in the UK after making this incredibly dangerous journey, according to government statistics. And the numbers involve migrants pulled out of the water, migrants rescued, migrants intercepted, and this goes along with the idea of housing migrants in hotels at an astronomical cost. And what I think we don't, what the newspapers quietly avoid, what mainstream media seems to quietly avoid is, yes, we've got the Bibi Stockholm crisis, yes, we've got the Stop the Boats ranting and the rhetoric of Suella Braverman bashing her dispatch box and screaming invasion. What I think we tend not to notice is that the government has a long-term contract with hotel firms. So I don't see that it's possible for the government to stop using hotels without breaking that contract. In other words, there is no serious plan to stop using hotels. And the only reason we're using hotels, I suspect, is to drive up the protests from ordinary people and from councillors who dislike the seizure of hotel property by the government and the presence of migrants in their area, not in my backyard. In 2022, 45,755 people made the journey. That's up 60% on the 28,526 who came here in 2021. But lower than the amount that was estimated and expected. Maybe this thing is flattening out, but I don't think it's going to have very much to do with Suella Braverman's absurd plans. It's got very little to do with that. Suella Braverman's plans are about propaganda for Britain. They don't really even make it across the Channel. Nobody that I've spoken to in Albania knows anything about Suella Braverman's propaganda. All they know about is TikTok and information that they get from people who are in touch with people traffickers. We aren't getting the message across at all. Why not? Because Suella Braverman was invited. The British government has been invited for the past 10 years by the Albanian government to set up a consulate or a processing centre in the north of Albania where there is a problem and where there is an issue with gang warfare, effectively, and killings, a sort of mafia-type culture, along with extreme poverty. We could deal with both. We could help to sort out both problems. We haven't. Instead, we've sent police to the airport. Most of the Albanian migrants who come to us do not even get to the airport. They are already on lorries going across to Italy, and then from Italy over to the Channel, and then from the Channel to us. Some of them are genuinely fleeing persecution, domestic persecution, and some of them are absolutely economic migrants. But they're not going to be discouraged by the noises made from this side of the Channel because they aren't getting across, number one. And number two, if they're prepared to risk the Channel crossing, they're not going to be terrified of the Bibi Stockholm barge, and they're certainly not going to be terrified of some extraordinary person who bangs on a dispatch box and screams xenophobic, racist abuse. They've had all of that. So we're not getting our message across. The message which Suella Braverman is getting across is a purely localized thing. It's purely for domestic consumption. So it's completely pointless. Completely pointless. And why are we surprised that she's not having any significant effect on the numbers that are coming across? The only way to deal with this is to deal with it globally or in a continental way. A European convention, a European meeting, and to thrash out a new version of the 1951 Refugee Convention, to look again at the various issues which come before the European Court of Human Rights, to look at the issues which come before our courts, to look at the rulings which were made in 2019 and before by British judges on British soil, as well as European judges. Only then, only when we start doing the homework, only then when we are processing the information, digesting the information, talking to our friends, can we possibly help or hope to sort this out. We're not going to sort this out by banging on the dispatch box and screaming racist abuse. The only thing that's going to do is promote more of this national frontist rhetoric and more of this nastiness. So it's screaming in the wind. And Suella Braverman leads that initiative. Screaming in the wind. I hope somebody from the government takes notice that there are people in the government who have a sound brain. They're few and far between, but there are a few of them. And I would appeal to them to get some sort of order in the system, because I thought does.Jenrick had some sense. Clearly he doesn't. Clearly he's been seduced by Suella Braverman's nonsense. Clearly he thinks that by shouting louder than Suella Braverman and making more aggressive statements than Suella Braverman, he's actually going to get the top job. You know, he's getting the top job on the back of painting over Mickey Mouse. Well, that one will go down in the history books, won't it? That's £1,500 well spent. Well done, does.Jenrick. You got that one cheap.